Eric, when someone look at you, you're one of the happiest people that at least I know. But when people see you, they see something on the surface. What do you think they see? And beyond the surface, who really is Eric?
That's a heck of a question. First, thank you for having me on the show.
Of
This is
course.
great. Listen, um, I don't think I think it just has on the surface. On the surface, I'm a very positive individual. I always expect the best, and smiles go a long way. Not only in sales, but in life.
Yeah.
People resonate when you walk into a room. They feel energy, whether it's positive or negative. And when I look at my growing up as a kid, even as a baby, all my I've always had a smile.
Wow.
I've always had, from the earliest picture, I just smiling,
Yeah.
So I just think it's in my DNA,
Yeah.
but a lot of it has to do with your mindset.
Mhm.
And my mindset's uh, very positive. Very positive mindset, which I think is important for everybody.
Yeah.
So I like to smile. Smiles are better.
Where did you get that from? The being positive, because is not always natural for a lot of people. I think there's so much happening in our everyday life, in our community, in the world, that is so natural to wake up with a frown. It's so natural to go out there with a level of pessimism. So where does that come from you for you?
I would probably say my mother. My mother was very, very happy. She played music, piano growing up. So
Yeah.
there was always music in the house. Well, my mom was. She always had a smile. She had a great sense of humor. My father was a little bit more conservative,
Yeah.
but I think I'm a lot more like my mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was
Well,
great.
what are some lessons that you think like your mother taught you about you just evolving into an individual from a young kid to a young man to to who you
Well,
are now?
well, I'll go with the music. I'll start with that because in the house, I learned to play the trumpet as a young, you
I
know,
didn't know you played the trumpet.
oh yeah, I played trumpet, trombone, and tuba all the way through college, and I actually had a music scholarship to University of Tampa. So
Really?
music's always been a big part of my life, and growing up, well, my mom she played the piano, and
Mm,
she also played in the church. She was an organist, and my uncle his name was Uncle Dick Zaramani.
yeah.
He was a Presbyterian minister, but he played organ too. And my grandmother played piano by ear, so there was music in the house. So, and musicians are always when you see musicians, they're always happy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I have music in my life because I think it resonates with my personality. But I think my mom's greatest gift for me was introducing me to music.
Mm. Do
Yeah.
you still play?
Oh yeah, yeah. I play blues guitar and I play classical guitar, and hopefully I could I could try out for the church band
Oh,
sometime.
excited.
That would be fun. That
That
would
would
be
be
fun.
fun.
I got to work on my game because Joel's fantastic. He's a great bass player.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I've thought about trying out for the church choir, but apparently I'm not good enough. So,
Oh, okay. Oh, really? You
so
tried out?
well, I want to, but both Joel and some of my other friends are like, "Mama, God has a gift for you. This
Oh,
God has a gift for you. This is not it."
all right. Well, I want to give it a shot because the band's great and the
Yeah.
music makes me happy. My happy space is when I play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
So I'm curious, right? Because I mean, for as long as I've known you, there's not a single moment where I spend time with you, whether in person or on the phone, even for 30 seconds, where I don't feel so inspired and feel like I have to take a piece of paper and write something down because you're full of so much wisdom. I'm just curious to know what are some things in your life that you feel have really shaped you into who you are today?
Wow, another great question. Growing up, we were very competitive. I got a twin brother and an older brother, so sports was we learned to be very competitive, which is great because you can apply that to the business world. And
Mm-hmm.
then I've always liked the challenge of adversity. All right, and as you know, adversity comes in all shapes and sizes, and everybody's it shows no prejudice
No, it doesn't.
adversity and throughout your life I've always taken it as a challenge to okay, I got something I got to deal with right now, whether it's financial or health or whatever, but it's always been for me a challenge to get through it.
Mm,
So I embrace it, you might say.
yeah.
And I think if you embrace adversity, for all of us, it creates stronger character. because
Mm.
adversity is going to hit everybody.
Yeah.
So I use it as motivation.
Wow.
It's like I'm not going to lose, and being competitive, I know I'm always going to win. And growing up, it's like if you came in second, you'd work harder to come in first. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and back then they didn't give out
Yep.
participation
I was going to
trophies.
ask you about that.
Yeah, they don't give out. Back
You
then,
either win or you don't.
yeah, you either win or you don't. And if you lose, you try harder to win the next time.
Mm.
So I think that mindset growing up in the 60s and 70s has helped, because I hate to lose. I hate to
Yeah.
lose, whether it's sports or in life. I want to win, and to win, you got to look within and say, okay, I got to work on this to get better. And so I've always accepted the challenge of trying to be number one, which is great. And you can't be number one at everything, but you can try. You can try, So that, I think that's very important with me.
Wow. Yeah. I'm going to talk about connection. We're going to talk about connection a little bit, but I am curious because you're someone who's very supportive of others, yet you're very competitive. Like, how does that work in terms of you're very supportive of making sure that people win, but you also want to come number one?
Well, I've always believed in giving back to the community, and for the last 30 years, I've had that opportunity, and I think that's important for as we become adults. You have to give back.
Yeah.
Whether it's I was a baseball coach in the 90s up in Harlem. And I owe all that to a guy named Malcolm DeCastro. Malcolm and I worked at Oppenheimer in New York City, and he asked me an amazing question in 1990, and it changed the course of my life in terms of giving back. He asked me if I wanted to coach. He started the Harlem Winter Baseball Clinic at 145th Street in Bradhurst in Harlem, and we had worked together. And I said yes, and he was the greatest mentor I've ever had. And he was extremely positive. You mentioned positive.
Yeah.
And he was just amazing with kids, teaching the game of baseball. So I learned a lot from him. And, so for 25 years now or whatever, since 1990, I've been giving back to the community, which is awesome. And I think that's important because enough of that's not done, not just with celebrities and athletes, but people in your own community. There's always something we can do to help.
Yeah. And what's his name?
Malcolm DeCastro.
Malcolm
DeCastro.
Are you two still in touch?
Oh yeah. Malcolm lives in Mount Vernon. He's 82 now. Oh, Malcolm's the best. When Malcolm walks into the room, everybody lights up. Oh yeah.
That sounds like someone that I know.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like
there you go. Well, Malcolm and I love Malcolm. He's amazing. He took he was in Vietnam in the army as a kid, and he served, and he used that negative to, he's the most positive human being I've ever met.
Wow.
Nothing bothers him. Bothers him. And we worked together for 8 years. Yeah, 8 or 9 years at Oppenheimer in New York City on the trading desk. But we also coached for 8-9 years because we had the Harlem Winter Baseball Clinic. But in the spring, we coached Little League Baseball, the Harlem Little League.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. We had so much fun together.
Wow. Well, I'm curious to know, like, I know at some point you were in Wall Street for how many years?
23 years.
So was this before coaching baseball, or was it baseball first?
No, it was at the same time.
Okay.
Same time. Yeah, absolutely. I started working in New York in 1985, New York City, coming out of college. And I first worked for Chase Bank.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember Chase.
Yes.
Chase Manhattan Bank. We worked down on.
Is it still around? I have not heard Chase Bank in so long.
Well, we were down at 80 Pine Street, down by the South Street Seaport, downtown. And it's amazing how you meet people. And then So from there, I met a guy that introduced me to. You would know it by the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes.
I actually was a penny stock broker in 1988 for a company called Stuart James, but it was through a connection at Chase. And you're young, you want to say, okay, you give it a shot. So I did that for about 9 months, and it was extremely aggressive, very similar to the movie, but it taught you how to sell. It taught you how to communicate with people. It also it was exciting, but I got burnt out after 9 months.
Yeah,
I really did.
it's a lot.
We were on the phone from 7:30 to 5 o'clock, and my fingers were they were numb from being on the phone all day long.
Yeah.
Oh, you dial. But it's good trading ground, and I did get my Series 7.
Okay.
They
Investment.
they sponsored me. So when I went to Oppenheimer, I already had my Series 7, which is great.
Yeah. Well, so that's interesting, right? Because I think being in the financial industry is one of those industries that's kind of glorified. So you were in it for about 9 months. You have your Series 7, so you're able to still stick with investment. What makes you go, oh, I'm going to go from that to coaching baseball to selling trucks?
Well, after that, it's amazing. I actually, after I got burnt out doing that, I ended up painting houses for about 9 months in Florida. I owned a condo down in
Oh,
Tampa. I owned a condo, and I needed a break, so
yeah.
I moved down to Florida, and I was painting houses for $5 an hour with these two guys, and we had
Wait, what year was this?
89.
Oh my gosh.
89. So I had worked in New York for 4 or 5 years, and then I'm painting houses, in Florida. But then, when you have an experience in New York City and you're working, and now I'm painting houses down in Tampa for $5 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed it. So I remember my family's from New Jersey originally. So my grandmother had passed away while I was down in Florida, and I remember packing to go to the funeral to not come back to Florida. I was missing the vibe in New York City. So, it was just New York's. If you get a chance to work there as a youngster, it's amazing. It really is. So, I had 5 years of that, and then the penny stock wolf, and then I'm painting houses, and then my grandmother dies. I knew I had to go back. All right, so I then got a job at Manufacturers Hanover.
Okay.
At Rockefeller Center,
okay.
overlooking the hockey rink. Rockefeller
Wow,
Center. Oh, it's
yeah.
beautiful. So I was in the, and that's the only job I ever got on my own. The only job where, I applied for it. It was the estate and trust area of Manufacturers Hanover Bank.
Okay.
And the bank handles very wealthy people's estates, all right, because they have so many assets. So, but working in a bank for me, this is for me, was like working in a library with telephones. It's quiet. Everybody's a vice president. You have to send an email to this vice president. Everything
is so formal and
slow. Nothing gets done quickly.
Yeah.
So I did that for about a year, and then I get a phone call. I get a phone call from a good friend of mine, Bobby Morgan. And Bobby worked at Oppenheimer down in the World Financial Center, and he calls me up. I'll never forget. And we'll get to this later with my success formula. But it's amazing how a phone call can change your life, right? So I got a phone call on a Thursday around 11 o'clock from Bobby. And Bobby says, "Hey, you want to interview for a job on a trading desk?" I said, "Yeah, how about Monday?" He says, "How about in an hour?"
Oh my gosh.
How about take lunch, hop on the subway, and this was Rockefeller Center, and Oppenheimer was down at the World Financial Center, right by the Trade Center. And so I did have a resume, but at the time everybody wore suits, and this was 1989, 90. I think it was 1990. But we all had suits on back then, so I take lunch, and as soon as I walked on a trading desk, I went, "This is awesome." I mean, the energy on a trading floor. At the time, you could smoke on the desk.
How things have changed.
Guys' ties were, everybody's yelling and screaming. There were no algorithms or computer. Everything was verbal. Everything was verbal communication. But as soon as I walked into that environment, you're looking at 100 people yelling and screaming, just like in the movies, and it was awesome. I go, "This is great."
Wow.
Yeah. So I had a 1-minute interview with a guy named Malcolm Luff. Malcolm was an old school Wall Street guy. And I go into his office, and he says, "So Bob says you went to school in Florida." I said, "Yes, sir." And that was it.
Wait, that was the interview?
That was it. So he said to Bob, he said, tell me 3 things about Eric. And Bob said, "Well, he's green, means I don't know anything. I'm green." Okay.
Okay, I didn't. Okay.
He's honest, and he'll bust his butt for you. He says, "Okay, hire him."
He's green,
He's green.
meaning that he doesn't really
I
know
don't know
anything.
anything, which is
He's
fine. They can
honest.
teach you. I'm honest, and he'll bust his butt for you. So he'll work hard. He'll work hard, basically.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, hire him. And so Bob calls me back. I'm back at the office. He says, give your 2-week notice.
Just like that.
Just like that. Yeah, that was Wall Street. And then Bob threatened to kill me if I messed up. Bob's a great friend of mine.
Because
by
it's
the way.
like my my reputation is on the line.
Exactly, your reputation. And so Bob actually trained me, and for 2 weeks, I'll never forget this. Talk about pressure. He sat to my side, and we had a phone turret. We had a phone turret, a biped, cell pad, and a time clock. All right, for trades. All right, and I was on the retail listed desk, and the turret had 100 lights, all the broker dealers, and it would blink. And all Bob said for 2 weeks while he was blowing smoke in my face was, pick up the effing lights.
What does that mean?
Fast. Pick up the light when it rings, boom, boom.
Oh, wow.
So we got into, Bob actually trained me great. He trained me, when you think about it, I mean, and trust me when I tell you this, there was no human resources on Wall Street back then. There was language, there was, you had to be thick skinned. There was people, the bosses raised their voice. They berated you, but it was all for service. I mean, the lights are ringing. We were berated if the phone rang twice. Now think of that in your business.
If it rings twice?
Twice. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I became a light hawk.
Gosh.
The light rings, boom, get it. Because they're calling us to execute a trade. They're not calling us to BS about the Yankees. They're calling it's business. So
wow.
Yeah. So Bob actually, and I love Bobby. Bobby's a great guy, and he trained me the right way. He trained me service. Light rings, it's business. Pick it up. To this day, when like in the real world, when the phone rings and you're in the business, if you hear a phone ring 2-3 times, it drives me crazy. It's lost business. The guy on the other end wants to talk to a human being right away. That's a transaction. That's money in your pocket. So Wall Street was extremely aggressive in terms of service orientated, but they actually, when you think about it now, they taught you the right way. Yeah, taught you the right way.
Wow, that's a lot to take in, because as someone who's working customer service, I remember years ago I was a tour guide when I was in college, and it was always my boss, Meg, awesome lady, but she always taught us lessons, and one of them was pick up the phone on the second ring.
No, we were on the first.
So I know, for us, the idea of the second ring felt like pressure, because if you were across the room and the phone was ringing, by the time the second ring ends, you better pick up the phone.
Oh yeah.
So for me in my head, that was like a lot of pressure. But you're saying like, no, upon the first ring, you're picking up that phone.
Oh yeah, when it rings, boom, boom, boom. So you became a light hawk. They call it a light hawk. So boom, 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 boom. You had a buy, sell, pad, and they're there to execute a trade. And back then, a trade execution was roughly about 3-minute time window, because for instance, you get a phone call from a broker, buy 5,000 shares of XYZ. You had to then find the post on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and you had a list of where every stock traded. So you'd call the proper room on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, main room, the blue room that trades here. You call down, you talk to the clerk and say, hey, give him the instructions, buy 5,000 shares or sell whatever the instructions are. And then he would page the floor broker. All right. And then the floor broker would take the order, and then he'd go out to the post, wherever the stock traded, talk to the specialist. And, this is time. And then, how you making letter F, Ford, whatever. And it's 3.5, couple thousand up or whatever. And then he would relay the execution of the trade and back to the clerk. Clerk would call you. And then, so there was like a 3-minute window back then of time for an execution, versus now, 30 some years later, everything's instant with algorithms. So the whole game changed from the 90s to 2000 with technology and algorithms. But that's how it was back then. Yeah.
Wow. So you left Wall Street because you felt burned out?
No. I left Wall Street in 2011. I got displaced. That was with the economic downturn.
Yeah.
Okay, the recession hit the whole country, and there were layoffs and layoffs. We had when I got laid off, I was in the ninth round of layoffs over a 2-year period. Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
With that company.
no. I moved. I went from Oppenheimer for about nine years in 1990. From 90 to 98, 99, I worked at Oppenheimer in New York City. And then I took a job trading down in Richmond, Virginia with another firm for 2 years. And then they got bought out by Wachovia Bank in 1999, 2000. And they hired the equity capital markets team from Alex Brown, which was a Baltimore-based investment firm. So they moved our trading desk to Baltimore.
Okay.
So then I traded for Wachovia for 5 years in like 2000 and 2005.
Okay.
And the market was great. Wall Street was great. Okay. We didn't start seeing financial crisis till about 2008-ish and 9. And then, things started changing for everybody. 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 So, from 90 to 2000 and I'd say 8 were really great times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was really great times. And then after Baltimore, I traded in Washington D.C. for 5 years, from 2006 to 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you working in New York was like just this enlightening thing for you.
Oh, it was awesome.
Between the different places
awesome.
you worked, where was your favorite place to work?
Well, New York's amazing.
New York,
it was amazing, and in the 80s and 90s, New York was phenomenal.
Okay.
Times Square had been closed or cleaned up. Mayor Giuliani, the whole city was vibrant. The subways were clean. Everything was great. Working in New York City, and I lived in Queens, so I didn't own a car till I was 39 years old. Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
I lived in Queens. I took the subways. Took the subway to work every day. And then if you needed a car, you just raise your hand. You got all the cars were yellow.
Yeah.
They were yellow. They were called cabs. They were called cabs.
Good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. But I didn't own a car till I was 38 or 39 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't need one. And then if you wanted to rent a car, I lived in Elmhurst, Queens, and I was, a mile from LaGuardia Airport. So if I needed a car for the weekend to go away, I'd rent Hertz or Avis or whatever, rent a car, drop it off Sunday night, and go home.
Well, it's interesting because I know people from New York who don't even have a license. And me living in Connecticut as an adult, it just,
you can't comprehend
I can't comprehend it. It's just like, what do you mean you don't drive? What do you mean you don't have a license? Like, that's how we survive in Connecticut. Or else you're taking Ubers like all the time. So
well, Ubers are the equivalent of a yellow cab back 30 years ago. But I was a subway guy. I knew everything about the subway. The D trade, the E trade, the R trade up to D trade went up to Harlem, and the R was the local, and the subway was amazing because I fall asleep quickly.
Yeah.
Like if I'm on an airplane, I sleep. On a bus, I fall asleep. On a subway. So I'd be on the subway, and there's people, and I'd be.
And you're
sleeping.
like, I'm gone.
I'd get the elbows, because I'd be leaning on some lady, or I leaning on some guy. You get the elbows, and I'd be asleep by Canal Street. Chamber Street was the Trade Center. That's where we got on the subway to go home to Queens. And I'd get the elbow.
Were you just tired from working a lot? Or
I don't know. I don't know if it was the subway just putting you to sleep, whatever. But the subway was great. And it's packed. It didn't matter. And you learn to read the paper. You learn to read the paper like you'd fold the Wall Street Journal up like this because you'd be reading on the subway. And there was a way to fold it so you could read it, and then because back then you didn't have a phone or iPhone or whatever, so you read the Wall Street Journal every day. But even on the subway, you'd fold it a certain way so you could be like this.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It was great. It was fun. New York was amazing experience.
Yeah.
Amazing. The energy, not only on the street, but underground. The subways, amazing musicians, and then obviously some of the buildings you could, we used to go drinking at the top of the Trade Center, windows on the world. That was just amazing view of Brooklyn. And I mean, for people that haven't experienced that, the Trade Center it was an amazing building. And so the energy in New York was great. It really was. You can go out, you can go out every night for a year in New York City and not be in the same restaurant or bar every night for a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is, especially when it comes to the nighttime, so different from Connecticut.
No.
One of the things in Connecticut that drive me crazy, and I hope will change over time, is that after 9:30, kitchens are closed. So
no, we wouldn't go out till 10 o'clock at night in New York City.
Right. So even if you wanted to go out and even when you wanted to go out, it's like after 9:30, everything is closed unless you're going to the bar or something, which some of us say that we don't go to the bar. So now it's just like almost everything is closed. So that's interesting that in New York.
Oh,
I mean, isn't New York called the city of
that never sleeps?
That never sleeps.
Well, oh yeah. No, but it was really a great experience. It really was. And it took me. I remember when I first started working in the city. I was commuting from New Jersey. I grew up in Middletown, New Jersey. But we would take the train, the Amtrak train to Newark, New Jersey. Then you would hop on the PATH train, which is kind of like a subway that went to the Trade Center. Mm-hmm. And it took me about a month just to get used to the pace of people and the energy. I was just amazed at it's like a wildebeest migration in the morning. Everybody going up the escalators at the Trade Center, and then at 5 o'clock, everybody's coming down. And I remember a lot of my friends say, "You walk fast. You walk fast." And why do you walk fast? I said, because I missed the 5:55 once.
Oh,
the 5:55 was the train at Newark, New Jersey, on the North Jersey coastline to go home, and I missed it. And if you miss the 5:55, they don't wait for you. Yeah. Train's leaving. You got to wait for the 6:55. So you got to wait in Newark, New Jersey. So I never missed it again. So you learn the pace. New Yorkers like to walk fast.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's because
it's so easy to identify a New Yorker. You're like, that person there, they're from New York.
But that's why I walk fast. You get around it, and then you learn the city, which is great. And you learn, uptown, midtown, downtown, your favorite spots.
Yeah.
But the energy. There's never a dull moment in New York City. There was never a dull moment.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I remember the '86 when the New York Mets won the World Series in 1986. The ticker tape parade. If you ever see the ticker tape parade, there was people were throwing. I was at Chase at the time. Chase. Everybody's throwing everything out the windows, from 8 stories, 10, garbage, paper. The streets were knee high with paper.
Wow.
Yeah, the ticker tape parade for the New York Mets in '86. I was like, I was as close as I could get to the street, but I had to walk back because it was just so crowded. Yeah, it was so crowded. But New York was amazing. I loved it. I really did.
Yeah. Wow. So I want to go back real quick to what Bobby Morgan, to what he said, right? So he said, because I'm curious, because a lot of the times when you're looking for a job opportunity, it's like, I have to be qualified. I have to have these skills. But then you have someone who's saying he's green. He doesn't know anything.
I didn't know anything.
But then it's like, he's green, he's honest, and he'll bust his behind. Okay, hire him. What was it about you that made them think that, you know what, this guy doesn't know anything. This is a high pressure work, but we're still going to go ahead and hire him?
Because they can train you. They can train you, and everybody. The misconception on Wall Street is everybody makes a ton of money right away. It's not. You start at the bottom. And they can train you. I mean, I could teach. As I became a senior trader, we would have assistants, and they were green, and you teach them. You teach them, and so you had to have an attitude of, I want to learn, I can learn. And they'll teach you. So, and guess what? I did learn.
Yeah,
I did learn.
So you lost your Wall Street job due to the recession.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For someone who is super high energy and enjoy that kind of a work, how did it feel to go from doing this kind of work to now you lose it? Like, how was that shift, that transition? How did it feel to go through that?
Well, wow, another great question. At the time, now fast forward to 2011, and now I'm married. I got a couple kids. I had a stepson and my own son. The stepson's name is Bryce. My son is named Luke. So at the time, Luke was 10-ish. Bryce was out of college already. Hey, you got a family, you got a house. I was living in Baltimore at the time, and um, I actually went a year being unemployed, because you would think that I could get a job back doing what I was doing, but in
Mm.
reality, the game had changed.
Mm.
Technology totally changed what we did as traders, and but fortunately, I was running a youth program called Rockball. It's a program that
Yeah.
I created myself through coaching in Harlem, and so I had all these skills, and I created a program for kids called Rockball. It was baseball choreographed to rock and roll music.
Oh, that
Here
sounds so
comes
exciting.
here comes the music part again.
Yeah.
So anyway, I started that program in Baltimore with Luke, Eli, William. Luke, my son, Eli, and William. They were always on my team, and I just had a vision, which is kind of neat. We'll get to this sometime, but I had a vision of creating a program, and I made it
Mm.
happen. So it was fun, skill based, engaging, and it burned calories. And we'll get to the reason why it burned calories. But I love coaching kids,
Mm.
and the program worked. So basically, it was rock and roll, baseball, rock ball.
Yeah.
So I worked with a lady named Katie Stauffer. This is when I was trading I was living in Baltimore, trading in Washington, D.C. And Katie Stauffer, Katie's great. Katie played softball at Penn State.
Okay.
And I knew Kate, and she was a trader on the desk, but I knew she would have it. It to me meant she would be great with kids. And
Mm.
I knew she had that personality, and one, she was a great athlete. And so I remember I'm on the train, say, how'd you start Rockball? I used to, you ride the train. I was commuting from Baltimore down to Washington now, 2 hours each way, door to door. But I'd listen to my music. Here we go, music again. So I listened to my earphones, and it's 5:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning,
Wow.
and you're in your suit, you're going to work, and I hear this song. It was Led Zeppelin, Rock and Roll. Led Zeppelin, been a long time since I rock and roll,
Yeah.
and I wake up. It's 5:30 in the morning. I wake up, go, Billy, that'd be a great throwing drill. That'd be a great throwing drill. And
Oh,
I'm
wow.
thinking baseball, rock ball, or baseball, rock and roll, rock ball, rock ball. And then I heard another song called "They Call Me the Breeze" by Leonard Skinner. They call me the breeze. I go, Billy,
Sounds like a really good
that'd be a
playlist.
great sliding drill. Be a great sliding drill. So I get into work, and I say, Katie, can I have a word with you? She goes, yeah, Rico. Okay, yeah, what's going on? I said, we're gonna start a baseball clinic. We're gonna call it Rock Ball. We're gonna blast music. The kids are gonna love it, and you're gonna help me. Yeah,
Not
and you're
can you help me?
no, you're
You're gonna
going to
help
help
me.
me. And I
Wow.
remember Katie saying, God, I'm so glad, Rico, you asked me that, because I always wanted to be a coach, but I never knew how to get
Seriously.
involved. Yeah. So we started a pot. We got together on Saturdays. We'd rent an indoor baseball facility in Baltimore, and we used Luke, my son, Eli, William, and all of a sudden, kids, they're all 10 years old now, 10, maybe, yeah, 10, 11, but they were on my little league team, and you know how kids are, they share an idea. So
Mhm.
all of a sudden, rock ball, what's this rock ball? And all of a sudden, each
Kids
week,
are like the greatest advertisers.
oh yeah, the kids are the great. They really are. So all of a sudden, after 3 weeks, we modified a drill, we modified a song, and after about 3 4 weeks, all of a sudden we have like 15 kids, all friends of Luke and Eli and William. I want to be in rock ball. I
Wow.
want to be in rock ball, and all of a sudden, Katie and I, we got this nice program going. But once again, you never know who's watching. You never
Mm.
know, and this is great for. I always talk about that with athletes, high school
Mm.
kids. You never know who's watching in the stands. It could be a scout, it could be a coach, and then they're looking for your attitude, whether you're winning or losing. They want to see you hustle. They want to see, are you a good teammate? Somebody's in the stands always watching. So
Mm.
if you're a high school athlete nowadays in any sport, always give it your best effort
Mm.
because you never know who's watching.
You never know who's watching.
So one day at Rock Ball, right? We got it rolling. You know, all the parents, we blasted music. Each song went to a different drill, and the playlist was amazing. I got the playlist.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing you talking about the playlist.
Oh, the playlist is amazing. It really is. So it started to flow. Rock Ball started to flow, but then one practice, there's a gentleman came to pick up his son who was in Rock Balls, and his name was Rob English, and his son was, I call him Hookem because he loves Texas. Yeah, it was Hookem. His name was Sam English. So anyway, after the session's over, this gentleman, Rob English, says to me, he says, "Hey, you and I got to have a talk." I said, "Sure. About what?" He says, "That's the best youth program I've ever seen. Would you mind doing a pilot for an inner city school in Baltimore?" I said, "Sure, wow. Absolutely." Turns out he's the director on the board of the largest after-school program in Baltimore City. Largest after-school. Wow. It was called Child First Authority. Huge after-school program, Baltimore City. So I said, "Sure, let's do a pilot." So when they busted, it was Edgewood Elementary School, a bunch of 5th and 6th graders, inner city kids. They busted them in, which was great because it got them out of the city, and we ran a Rock Ball session. But it was supervised by some directors of the after-school program, some of the teachers, the principals, and they loved it. The kids loved it. The kids loved it. And they had it actually turned out, when I got laid off, I started to do in-kind service every Friday for that school, Edgewood Elementary. I still had a job on Wall Street. It was like 2011-ish, I guess, 2010, 11. And so I would bus them Fridays to have a Rock Ball session. But then word got around the school, I want to go to Rock Ball. Right? You know, with the kids. So I had a Rock Ball t-shirt for girls, boys, and we had Rock Ball cookies. I had Rock Ball cookies. But the school was really smart. They implemented an honor code. To come to Rock Ball, you had to be in school, you had to be respectful, and you had to be doing your homework.
That,
See that? And the kids these are 5th and 6th graders, they had a change of attitude because they didn't want to get in trouble anymore.
They want to be part of it.
They want to go Rock Ball, yeah. So the school saw a change in the attitude of the children. They started to do their work. They started to be respectful because they wanted to come to Rock Ball. Yeah. And so now I got laid off, and I remember Rob says to me, or Rob had a conversation, Rob English, the director of Child First Authority, he had a conversation, I believe it was the principal of the school, said, and the principal said, "Whatever this Rock Ball thing is, you got to hire this guy because the kids love it." And they hired me. I was out of work for a whole year, and I wasn't getting back onto Wall Street. I wasn't getting into it. And they hired me as the director of sports at the largest after-school program in Baltimore City. Wow. It was awesome. So I did that for 2 years, and I actually recruited my networking. All right, I used my networking contacts to recruit Kim Tortolani. Kim taught women's lacrosse. She was the lacrosse coach at Georgetown University. And she taught lacrosse at after-school program. We had two karate teachers. They were awesome. So we had Rock Ball, we had girls lacrosse, we had karate. I knew Akira Fitzgerald. He was the backup goalie for the Baltimore Blast. So he taught soccer. He's a professional soccer player. Wow. And then we also had the First Tee, which is golf. 2 of the schools, Child First Authority had about 1,000 kids in 10 schools around inner city Baltimore, 10 schools. So we had the First Tee program, which is golf. We had karate, we had lacrosse, we had Rock Ball. Oh, and then TT the artist. Look up TT the artist. She's amazing. She taught arts, crafts, and photography, and she's famous. She's out in California right now. She's done a Netflix special. Oh, nice. Yeah, look up Dark City the Beat. Dark City the Beat. It's a Netflix special on inner city Baltimore dancing. Wow. And it's awesome. So TT was the arts and crafts. So it was an amazing program. And it really opened my eyes to work for a nonprofit. You know, Wall Street's all about you. All right. Making money and all that great stuff, which is awesome. But then remember when we first started talking, I love giving back to the community. Yeah. You know, it opened my eyes to work for a nonprofit after school program to see what happens with budget cuts, you know, trying to raise money. and closed recreation centers. And remember, I said rock ball was it was fun, engaging, skill based, and it burned calories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wasn't aware of this, as probably most people aren't aware, but inner city youths in Baltimore, inner city youth, there's a 40% obesity rate in school children. Why? There's no gym class.
Yeah.
So the after school program provided, the physical activity for the kids. Could you imagine there's no gym class in public schools in certain parts of this country?
That sounds insane. And
Yeah.
it sounds insane, not even just for the physical part of it, but I remember in college, I was writing my college essay originally on my love for running cross country and track.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my uncle was just like, every other child in the country is writing about sports.
No,
but for me, running cross country and track, that's the only sport I ever truly played beside gym, that I should ever participate beside gym class. And because for me, it wasn't just the physical aspect of it. When I went for a run, I could be upset about something, and by the time I'm running, I'm already having all this mental conversation with myself.
Get your endorphins going.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm done. So for me, sport is such an important aspect of any child, any person, period. Because it works it works on your resilience.
Mm-hmm.
It works on your character.
Yep.
And you're healthier.
And it builds self-confidence.
Oh,
absolutely.
So it's hard to understand or even think about their places, maybe even now in the United States, where their children are going to school every single day and they're drinking soda.
They're not eating right, and they're not exercising.
They're not eating right. They're sitting on their phone all the time. When they're home, they're sitting down, and they're not exercising.
Yeah.
And it's like how
it's a problem.
It's insane.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
I coach kids throughout my career, in Harlem, Baltimore, St. Pete, Florida. St. Pete, I was part of the Second Chance Life Skills for youth. I ran rock ball down there. I ended up meandering. It's another story, getting down to Florida, but I ran rock ball for YMCA's.
Mm-hmm.
A guy named Robert Whiting ran the Largo Rec Center, which is part of the YMCA. Robert, another great guy that gave back to the community, and a dear friend, Robert Whiting. And I've been part of the Great American Teach-In with rock ball, and it's a great program. I got shut down for COVID because it's group instruction, but I got to get it back because I really miss it.
Yeah.
And the kid, I had a rock ball handshake.
What was it?
10 things. The rock ball.
Wait, what?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go back 9 and explode 10.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so the kids would go, can I try?
Oh.
So we had rock ball is fun. But the goal of any teacher or coach, and this is just from experience, 25 plus years of coaching. The ultimate goal for any coach or teacher should be building self-confidence.
Why?
Because if any individual, even adults, if you have self-confidence, you can be successful in anything you want to do. So my goal as a coach, especially rock ball or anything, was to build self-confidence. What's your mission statement? To build self-confidence in a human. Because if they have that, they can be successful in anything. If you don't have self-confidence, you can't do it. You can't do it. And this applies to adults. As we get older, we still need to have that positive reinforcement, that positive affirmations of, okay, I'm not having a good day. How do you get out of being depressed? And it's, mental health's a big issue these days. And, we all have to deal with it in some form, but how do you get out of it? What's the trigger to get you back up feeling good and positive? Because nowadays, mental health's more prevalent and people talk about it more than years ago, which is fine because people need to be able to share and talk, and you learn that we all got something on our minds.
Yeah.
But how do you get out of it? You can't be sitting around, depressed.
Oh, I have so many thoughts and questions you're talking, and I feel this can turn into 3 hours. But I know I only have you until 1 o'clock. I want to come back to self-confidence later, but talking about mental health, when you talk about your transition from Wall Street to baseball to all these other things, it almost seems like it was seamless, it was effortless, and it was not a hard thing.
No,
Is that
no,
true?
no, 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 it's not true. But I got to give credit to a book.
Okay.
All right. I was given Og Mandino, The Greatest Salesman in the World, that book.
I've heard you talk about that book
Okay.
before.
I was given that book in 1985 when I first started working in New York City by a dear friend, Martha Mena. Martha, dear friend. And that book, that one book, I've been reading for 40 years, The Greatest Salesman in the World. And I highly recommend it. And at this stage in my life, outside of the Bible being, I think, most important book you can read, The Greatest Salesman in the World is, you got to read it. And then in the book, there's scrolls. There's 10 affirmations. It's about a young camel boy named Hafid who aspired to be great.
It's almost like the Alchemist.
Huh?
Is it almost like the Alchemist? Have you read that book?
No, I haven't, but I'll
good.
write it down because
I should have it on my
I love to
shelf.
read.
Yeah.
But Hafid gets these 10 scrolls, and these 10 scrolls cover pretty much everything in life that is a positive affirmation, and habits, all about habits. And habits, mental habits are important too, because so that book really ingrained to me mental positive habits that I've practiced. And when you read the book, you'll know exactly what I mean. But yeah, no, it takes work. It takes work for mental health habits. It does for everybody. But I give all that credit to that book. And I give credit to Martha Mena. Martha's a dear friend of mine. And we worked together at Chase Bank back in 1985. But she gave me that book. And I have now passed that book on. I speak in some colleges, I do some motivational speaking stuff. But when I find a Hafid was the character in the book. When I find a young professional that is aspiring, for greatness in sales or great, whatever, I get him the book and I make him read that book. Yeah. So I give a lot of credit to that.
Yeah. The Greatest Salesman in the World.
Yep, by Og Mandino. And if you learn about Og Mandino, Og was at the time of his death, he was one of the greatest motivational, inspirational writers of all time. But
so I got to read it then.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But at one time in his life, he was homeless, penniless, sleeping on a park bench, didn't have $29 to go buy a pawn shop pistol to blow his brains out. And he accredited the ability to read, which transformed his life. So he started going to the library to read about successful people and what were their habits.
Wow.
Yeah, and then he had this gift. He was one of the greatest writers of all time. So learn about not just Og's past, Og Mandino, but also get that book. Because I guarantee once you read it, you'll know exactly why it's been such a huge inspiration in my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Oh my gosh, Eric, so much. There's so many questions as you talk. Wow. So talk to me a little bit about the shift from Wall Street, the impact it had on you. Because, so as you know, I was in financial planning for about a year. And to go from that to pivot, because for me, when I went to financial industry, it was more of like, this was going to be it in terms of, my career. And part of it, I really enjoyed it. And when I had to pivot for various reasons, I cried for this.
Really? Yeah.
And this was right before the wedding. I cried for this because I worked so hard. And for me, this was it. And to go from, I'm going to work hard and, things are going to pay off, and going from, well, things are not panning out the way you expect, and then have to shift gear and then have to apply for a job. For me, it was so hard. And I remember my husband, Joel, who maybe is going to get, everything's going to work out. And I think I'm in a great place now. But for me, it was hard. It took a mental toll on me. Going into the wedding, I cried for days. So for you is to do this for years and to go from that to something completely different. It's like you leave Wall Street, wake up in the morning, and you're not going back. What does that look like?
Well, you know what it looked like? I lost my house. Your lifestyle totally changes because my income went down, I don't know, 80%. Yeah, you get used to a lifestyle, and we did very well. But I, with the downturn in the economy in 8, 9, 10, the real estate market tanked. So, and then my income went way down drastically.
80%.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And so I actually foreclosed on my house in Baltimore. I had a condo in Florida for 10 years. I lost that on a short sale. So when you hear, oh, real estate's the greatest investment,
No.
not then.
Yeah.
Not then. You know, it was the perfect storm with the, you know, everything was tanking, real estate, everything. You know, it was bad. It was bad. So I go from a so-called, you know,
Wow.
very nice lifestyle, two kids in private school and all that stuff, condo in Florida, to losing everything, lost everything. But I didn't lose me. I didn't lose, and we get back to be a challenge of adversity. I just had to start all over at 50. I'm 65. At 53, I had to start all over, and I was actually I was running rockball in Florida. I'd moved to Florida with the family. I was running rockball, but I couldn't monetize it enough, so I was actually waiting tables. I got a
Oh
job
my
waiting
gosh.
tables.
You went from Wall Street to waiting
Yeah,
tables.
I couldn't get a job. My resume. I remember interviewing at was it Avis or Hertz? Hertz rental car, Hertz or Avis? No, Enterprise rental car down in Clearwater, Florida. The guy wouldn't hire me because he looked at my resume and he says, and I was a senior equities trader. He says, "You're not going to be here in 6 months." And the only guy that would hire me was a guy named George Vikos. George, I love you, George. He was a New Yorker that was a manager at a restaurant called E&E Steakout Grill, which, if you're ever down in Clearwater, it's the best restaurant. And George, I go in there, right? Because you got to pay the bills. You got a wife, kid, whatever. So I walk in there, and George looks at my resume, and he says, you didn't wake up this morning looking to be a waiter, did you? I said, no, but can I have a job? He goes, yeah, I'll hire you. I'll hire you. So I actually waited tables while I was coaching rockball at Rexstars, but I waited tables for 3 years.
3
Yeah,
years.
3 years. Yeah, and you know what a call party is? A call party is you call a restaurant, and E&E's great restaurant, great food. Call parties when you call up for a reservation. You say, "Hey, can I have an 8:00 reservation? But I want Eric to be my waiter." That's a call party. Sunday nights, I had 5 call parties. I'd have all these ladies, these retiree ladies. Hey, I want to talk. I want Eric.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I'd be talking Wall Street. I'd be talking golf. I'd be talking financial play. Oh, it was fun. And yeah, so I waited tables for 3 years. And once again, you never discount who you're going to meet and how they may be able to help you. And this goes back to networking. See, networking has evolved. When I worked on Wall Street, networking was called entertaining. You'd entertain customers, and we were the best at it. Wall Street guys, we had an amazing skill set that is now in vogue. You know, 30 years later, it's called networking. You know, back then it was called entertainment, but we were the best at it. And you know, the condo that I lost, this is a blessing. I had it rented to a guy in the truck business for 2 years. So I get a phone call, and this is another blessing. I get a phone call. I'm in Clearwater now, waiting tables. Luke's 12 now, and Luke's a good baseball player. And I get a phone call from the guy that rented my condo, and he says, "Hey, how old's Luke?" I said, 12. He says, "Can he play baseball?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Can he catch? You know, like a catcher?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What's going on?" He says, my catcher broke his ankle. I need Luke to be on my team." I said, "Great. Clearwater Little League." You know, so when I always get asked, how do you go from Wall Street to selling trucks? A broken ankle. So that guy calls me up. You stay in touch, you know, and of course at the practices and stuff. And, you know, he said, "What are you doing now? What are you doing now?" And this is 2000, I don't know, 12 or 13 now. Yeah, 2014. When would it be? Yeah, around 2000. What? Yeah, 2014. Yeah. Anyway, he says, "What are you doing now?" I said, "I'm waiting tables at E&E." He goes, "You're waiting tables?" He goes, "You're the best salesman I've ever seen." He knew me from Wall Street, and he says, "You want to sell trucks?" I said, "Okay."
Wow.
I needed a job, so I started selling trucks.
Yeah.
You know, but once again, my habits on Wall Street I didn't know anything about trucks, but I knew about relationships and how to grow a business.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I did was we sold used Isuzu trucks, and this is great for any salesperson listening, all right? Because this ties into, I'm a big believer in gratitude, and
We're gonna talk about that. Yep.
yeah, well, this gratitude ties into business big time, and this is how it ties in for me, how I got up here. We sold used Isuzu trucks and we did some light fabrication. So me being a Wall Street guy, what do you think about? How do you make money?
Yeah.
All right. So I got a list of every Isuzu dealer from Clearwater to Maine. And I cold called. You know what a cold call is?
Yep.
Remember the Wolf of Wall Street? When I
Yep.
did that, I cold called all day long. So I knew how to, I called up every dealer and I said, "This is Eric. I'm new to the team down here. Anything I can do to help you?" We sell some used Isuzu trucks. Click. One of the guys, but here's the key. Every phone call I followed up with a thank you card, gratitude. All right. And on the card it said, and I'm a huge believer in gratitude. Huge. I've sent over 24,000 cards. That's right, 24,000 in the last 12, 13 years. Okay. So I followed up every cold call with a thank you card. A week later, I get a phone call from one of the cold calls.
Wow.
And anybody listening, this isn't really important.
Because cold calling me, you don't know who these people are.
It's a total stranger, right?
They don't know who you are, so they don't care.
But a week later, he gets a thank you card from me. And Craig Judge, I love Craig.
This is the guy that hung up on you?
No, he didn't hang up on me. No, he didn't hang up. No, Craig calls me up to thank me for the card. And he said, "I'll never forget." He said, nice touch. Tell me more about what you do." I said, "Well, we do some light fabrication and we build flatbeds and dump bodies." "Really? What's your turnaround time to build a 14-foot flatbed?" I said, 2-3 weeks. "What's yours?" He said, 7-8 weeks. "Oh, all right, this is the second phone call. A week later after sending him the thank you card. He said, "Well, give me a quote on 7 flatbeds, because if you ship up 7, it's cost efficient from Clearwater to Connecticut." And I call him back with a quote. I call him back and he orders 7 of them. So Craig becomes my biggest customer for 2 years in Florida, all because of gratitude. If I never sent that card, that second conversation never would have happened. So you're a salesperson. I don't care if you're selling insurance, real estate, trucks, carpet, it doesn't matter. Gratitude changes everything.
And this is not just for people who are in sales. This is just life.
Oh,
period.
Absolutely, because gratitude applies to both personal and professional habits.
Yeah.
All right, because gratitude outside of love, this is my opinion, outside of love, gratitude is the second most powerful virtue. Why? Because we as human beings need to feel appreciated. But on the flip side of that, we also feel when we're not appreciated. Okay, and business professionals, and after 40 years of being in sales, I really and I wholeheartedly believe that gratitude is the least utilized tool that business professional and owners use to grow their business. It's the least.
Let's pause there real quick, because people who are in business, I think just all of us in general, every single December, November, we're doing like our New Year resolution. And if you're in business by October or so, you're already looking at, what are the plans for my business? What's my business plan?
Yeah, what's my business model for the next year?
No one sits there and goes, "Oh, one of the tools I'm going to use to move my business forward is gratitude." No one does that.
Nobody says that. They want to buy pens, promotional products. They want search engine optimization. Let's fix our website. But what about the relationships with the customers you're already doing business with? Are you appreciating them? And then also, are you appreciating your employees? You hear the term, I want a great work culture. To work for them, it's a great work culture. A great work culture starts with gratitude from the top down. And I'm going to tell you a story why I have such my DNA is gratitude. I love gratitude. But growing up as a caddy, I grew up caddying in New Jersey on a golf course. I used to caddy for a guy named Bob Beck. I want you to look him up. Bob Beck was the chairman of Prudential Life Insurance. This is in the mid 70s and the early 80s. Chairman of Prudential Life Insurance. And I'm a 14-year-old kid, 15, I'm caddying. I've caddied for Bob Beck 100 times. But I never forgot, because he was he's left such a great impression on me of how much he expressed gratitude in a round of golf to a 14-year-old kid.
You were 14.
I was 14. I hand him a club, thank you. Hand it back, thank you. Hand him another club, thank you. All he ever said was 2 words, thank you. And I witnessed how he treated everybody at the club. You know, the locker room attendant, the bartender, the maitre d', the caddy, the golf pro. He treated everybody with such appreciation. Everybody with such appreciation. So, you know, as business professionals, you know, we all hear the term, if success leaves clues. You've heard that before?
Yeah.
All right, well, here's the chairman of the largest insurance company in the country at the time. He actually had a helicopter too. If success leaves clues and the chairman of the largest insurance company is expressing gratitude, that's a pretty big clue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So gratitude changes everything, both personally and professionally, because with a grateful mind, and this goes back to mental health, you cannot have a negative thought if you're thinking about gratitude.
Wow.
It's impossible. It's impossible. So gratitude brings you back to the present, all right? Because most people either live in the past, which creates stress. What if I should have done this? What if, or they live in the future worrying about something that's going to happen 2-3 weeks from now, which creates what? Stress. But gratitude brings you back to the present. It brings you back to the present. And then it's like, okay, 1, I'm alive. 2, I'm grateful I have a job. I got clothes on my back. I got food in my belly. I got good friends. I got a car to drive. You know, when you start thinking about what you are grateful for instead of what you don't have, all of a sudden you go, wow, I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah.
See?
And if I don't have a car, I have legs that I can walk.
Exactly. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and we'll get to that. But gratitude for me is a big part of my habit. And that came from Og Mandino.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously when you're a kid, you know, you're taught, please, thank you, you're welcome, you know, as a parent. But Bob Beck was transformational in my thinking as a young, impressionable teenager, because all he ever said was thank you. And he expressed it. He opened his mouth because, like I said, we as human beings, we feel the emotion of gratitude, and we also feel the emotion of ingratitude, which, if I could share a Bible story.
Please do.
I love Luke 17:11 through 19. Luke 17:11 through 19. It's a short little story in the Bible that Christians know as Jesus healing the 10 lepers, right? That story has nothing to do with their faith healing themselves. That story has everything to do with 2 powerful emotions, gratitude and ingratitude. And Jesus uses himself as the recipient of both emotions in that short little story. You know, he heals the 10 lepers, but only 1 went back to say what?
Thank you.
Thank you. Jesus said, happy to help you.
Oh, man.
Happy to help you. Anytime, happy to help you. But then he says one of the best lines in the Bible for me. He says, but where are the other 9?
That I healed.
Did I heal 10 of you guys? So he's now feeling the ingratitude of the 9. So he uses himself as the recipient of both powerful emotions. And so Jesus is telling us in that story, not only to thank him for his daily bread, thanks Jesus, you know, but also thank the people in our lives, both personally and professionally, and learn to express it more. Learn to express it more. And when you start thinking about gratitude and you implement it in your life, all of a sudden your whole life changes, both personally and professionally. And you'll be amazed how your business will transform, how your work culture will transform. Because let's face it, nobody grows a business. They grow relationships. They grow relationships. And we need to feel appreciated. And if you can create a work environment where your employees have a pep in their step because they feel good about working there, what's going to happen? They're going to produce more.
Yeah.
But what's the flip side to that?
If they don't, they're going to feel like they're not appreciated, that you don't care about them.
And what's happened? They're going to leave.
Yeah.
And they're not going to produce more, but they're going to look to leave.
And even if they stay, it's almost like, even if they stay, that same energy that once existed is no longer there. So now it's just about doing the bare minimum.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
why I get back to, gratitude's the least utilized tool in business. And if you're a business owner, and I don't care if you're selling real estate, cars, trucks, it doesn't matter. I mean, we all have massive amounts of competition, but you really have to sit down and do some self-reflection on your business model and where does gratitude come in your business model. And I would probably say 80% of most business models they don't even think about it.
It's not even a thought.
It's not even a thought. I mean, it might be 90%, but for me, as a salesman, gratitude's number one.
Can I challenge that? I want to challenge that on two aspects. Someone can say, well, what am I really showing gratitude for to my customer when I provided a service?
Well, how about this? If I say to you, without my clients, repeat after me, without my clients, I'm broke. Right? Why wouldn't you appreciate your clients? They're putting money in your pocket, and in every industry, we all have massive amounts of competition. I don't care if you're selling boats, you're a salon owner, you're a landscaper, you're a hardscaper, you're selling insurance. Everybody has massive amounts of competition. So you as a business professional have to ask yourself one thing: what am I going to do to differentiate myself from the competition? Gratitude. Well, if all you could come up with is an email blast on the market overview in the real estate market, nobody cares. But when you start implementing gratitude and appreciating the clients that have put money in your pocket, they're going to keep putting money in your pocket because they're going to have repeat business. Yeah. But also, everybody talks about, business professionals always want the R word, referrals. Referrals only come after trust. In a long-term relationship, somebody trusts you to refer them to somebody else. But referrals take time, investment in a relationship. That's why, like when I sell trucks now, selling a truck is great. You high five it, but the work just starts. After I sell a truck, I want to learn everything about my customer. I want to know how I can help them grow their business in the next 3 to 5 years. Wow. That's where the real work starts, not after you hand the keys to somebody.
Right.
It's building a long-term relationship, learning everything you can about them, and trying to help them grow. That's sales. That's business. That's real relationship growing. That's not transactional relationships. You want relational business. All right, getting to know them. Yeah, gratitude's the key. It's the key.